Hello, welcome.
Hello.
Thank you so much, guys, for being here. So I'd love to start, and thank you, Jim, for that lovely introduction. I would love to start by asking the crowd a question. How many people in this room are content creators? Okay, that's pretty much everyone. So the title of the panel is being platform agnostic, but to be a little contrarian, I'd like to start with a game with my lovely panelists.
Ooh.
So I'm sure you're all familiar with Marry, F word, kill. We're gonna not do the F word because that would be inappropriate, and just do marry, kill platforms. Peng, I'll start with you.
Oh my gosh. Wow, this is really putting me on the spot here. Okay, I probably would marry TikTok just because it's been so good to me. And then I don't want to kill any platform. I'll go with one that I haven't been on and I've been trying to get on it, but it's been really hard for me, Twitch. Been trying to start that grind, but you know.
I think I would marry Instagram because they are always there in the end of the day. Maybe kiss TikTok because we're still flirting. So I'm still like,
Okay.
Oh, I like the kid.
Let's see. And I think I would kill Twitch too. Let's do it together then.
Okay.
Okay, great. RIP Twitch. So I want to talk about where people are making money from. This is a lot of what I do in my reporting in the space. So from your perspective, where are you seeing the most financial success? And why don't you start by giving, before you go into that, give the audience a little bit of background on who you are.
Yeah, so hi everyone. My name is Peng. I was a former 2012 honorary Olympic team captain for Canada in the sport of gymnastics and dabbled into entertainment and found myself in the content creating space after I retired in 2018. So that's been a very fun journey, and for me, financially, I guess, with all these platforms, I'm seeing it mainly for me personally on TikTok and Instagram, only because those have been my most successful. I had a bit of a following prior to content creating through gymnastics, but unfortunately during my time I wasn't able to make money in college. So I was a UCLA gymnast, wasn't able to make any money off my name and likeliness, so it was a lot harder to make money financially for me on YouTube and Instagram. And then TikTok kind of really helped me break out of that athletic profile. So there's money everywhere, but that's mainly for me personally.
Yeah, same. Hi guys, I'm Camila Coutinho from Brazil. I've been blogging for 18 years. I say I'm like the grandma for blogging, because when I started there was nothing like this as today. Nowadays I split from my website, so we have like 2 media products and also a hair care brand called GE Beauty, which is a customizable hair care, so it's a different way to use shampoo and hair care stuff. And for me, I think the money is where your audience is, so it can vary a lot. So in my case, my audience is a little bit older. So it's between 40% between 18 and 35. So they are mostly on Instagram, so I prefer to focus there and then spread my message in the other platforms too. But I think it's very important for you to have focus and to know where your audience is and how do they consume your message. I think money, like you said, is everywhere. You just have to know where to be.
When you say that money is everywhere, I mean, let's go with a recent headline. So TikTok just killed its $2 billion creator fund, which paid creators for viral videos on the platform. The company now says that if creators want to get compensated for content on TikTok, they need to enroll in the very similarly named Creativity Fund, which only pays creators for videos over 60 seconds. What do you guys think about this?
You know, I think it's interesting because we're always evolving, we're always changing, and as much as we're changing, you know, companies are changing as well. And I think one way you can look at it as frustrating, and the other thing is you can look at it as a creator. This is so exciting. Like, this is a fun challenge. This is why we do it, because we're not picking a job that's always the same. And so depending on how you look at it, I think you can think about it as you're also growing and also learning, and that's how I've definitely looked at it. It's a fun challenge for me, but I wouldn't want to have any other job.
I think it's the coolest and the worst thing about our jobs, because things last like way less than they used to. Like if a musician writes a song, back in the old days, it would last like 6 months or whatever, and now it's like a few days. So we have to be like creating more and more. So I think the found, I don't know that much about it, but maybe it's for creators to engage, to create different things from the ones that are already viral, because the viral lasts a little bit. So it's good to, like, we were talking about this on the way here, that it's nice for the creator to divide its time to produce content that already it's viral, it's gonna do well, but also try new things. You can like try new things all the time, make a mistake, leave it, or follow on a new thing. Does it make sense? Mm-hmm. So the platform has like created things all the time.
Yeah.
It's hard when everyone is doing the same thing, so it's not good for the platform too.
Mm-hmm. So were either of you guys part of the TikTok Creator Fund?
Yes.
I'm not.
Okay.
I was, yeah, when it started, I was for sure. And I've definitely seen a change. And I think that's why, you know, it, again, like there's lots of highs and lows in any business you choose. And so I think it's always, you're always adapting, always learning. And again, in any business, you're always learning, always adapting. It just so happens that this is the change that we're dealing with.
So Peng, going from having to, you know, thinking about creating short form and having that really be your KPI to now videos that are probably over 60 seconds, even if you're not making them, but your peers are. How are you approaching that?
I am dealing with it on a daily basis. I will be very honest. It's one of those things, again, I'm still figuring it out. I was definitely loving the short form. That was kind of my niche. I do a lot of transitions. But again, the long form, I love like YouTube and all the other platforms, which is why I don't want to, you know, F, marry, kill any one of them. But at the same time, it's a fun challenge for me to really broaden my horizons and really challenge me as a creator and as a person to maybe branch into something that I've never tried, or also maybe something that I'm good at and I can really fine tune that creative skill.
I think I'm a long video girl. I always was. Because I think it's good that I'm in the business for 18 years, so I have more perspective. It's a good thing for me. And I love to like send a message with calm and with time and make people think about it. So I used to do a lot of IGTV, for an example, and IGTV doesn't even exist the way it was created.
Yeah.
So I have this friend that was like, okay, in Brazil, we were one of the only ones that were able to use the tool with success, because I like to talk more like about one subject. So I have to learn with you to be more short in a few things, but I think we have room for calmly sending the message we want. Like people, nowadays we don't get to trust as much media as we used to before. So it's good when you recognize a creator that really study and really like check the facts. Not that, I mean, I'm someone to look 100% for, but it's nice when you realize that someone is really doing this for you in a language that you understand. So I don't know if I'm being clear, but
Yeah. And you brought up something that I think is really important now. So you've been a creator for 18 years. You've seen a lot of change. People talk a lot in this creator space about how it's not really economically feasible to be a full-time content creator anymore. Unless you're truly at the top, that, you know, having millions of followers means that you still have to have a day job. Do you guys think that's true? Talk about it.
I don't think so. I think, like the presenter said before, we always have a new way of communicating and making money on the internet. The UGC for me now is something that I'm really obsessed, because I have a brand, so I need the UGC content all the time. So besides myself, a free blogger for the brand, we hire a few ones, and we also hire UGC because we need content being generated in a very digital way for the brand. So I think there's always a way for you to make money. Things are evolving very fast, but for me, it was part of my strategy for my life, because you know that to have a job that is based on your personal life is very hard. It's not as easy as it seems when you watch on your phone, on your feed. So for me to have a brand, it was a long-term plan for my life and career that walk holding hands together. So I think it's good to diversify all the time.
Yeah, I think too, when the platforms are kind of however you want to make it. If you want to make it a full-time business, you can. It's just you have to maybe, adapt a little harder or figure out how to make a business out of it. You're pretty much entrepreneurs on the app, and it just so happens that sometimes your brand might be an object, it might be anything, but so happens with ours, it's like our brand is ourselves, so it is hard to, carry yourself and separate that mindset of this is my personal life, but at the same time, I'm trying to monetize off my personal life. But again, I have friends who have millions of followers and they make a great living off social media, but still keep their day job because they love their day job and they love kind of that work balance of their personal life and their work life. And so I believe truly you can make it however you want, and depending, you just got to be ready for the challenges that it brings, depending if you have work life and social media or just social media.
Yeah.
You bring up something that's really interesting, Peng, which is people also are looking to get into the creator space, but they're wary about their privacy. Obviously, there's a lot of talk here in the EU about privacy and social media. So what advice would you give to someone who really wants to protect their personal well-being and their private life, but also be a public figure on social media?
I think there's this connotation that as soon as you get on social media, you have to share everything. And I think that's exhausting. Like personally, I think, again, it's however you want to make it. If you want to share your personal life and that's something you really are passionate about, then by all means. And I think whatever you're passionate about, that's going to exude on the app more so. For me, I like keeping my family personal. I like keeping my relationships personal. Yeah. And so what I decide to do on the app is a lot of entertainment because I love sharing that side of myself. But at the same time, my social battery for social media can only handle like the entertainment side. But if I were to share my family, some of my family doesn't want to be online, and I got to respect that also. But it's so much more special to me that I have that personally for myself. And I know a lot of other people, they love sharing their family. So it's really cool to get on the app and really define your boundaries. And I think stay true to your boundaries because that's definitely what's going to help you progress on the apps.
I agree with you 100%. Boundaries are everything in life. And the more you give your life to your audience, the more your audience's requests and feels like they own it a little bit. So I think you can be very personal and vulnerable by deciding which piece are you going to share. So I've shared many vulnerable and very personal moments with my audience. I told them, not at the moment, but when I got divorced a few years later, I opened the camera, I spoke a little bit about it because there's so many women that go through this and that you can connect with your audience, but not at the moment. I didn't feel myself crying, I didn't feel myself during that period, but one day I opened my camera and I shared that with my audience without showing how was it for me back then. So I think it's a good way to connect and be vulnerable without exposing your life.
What made you decide that moment a couple years after the divorce that was the time you were like, my audience needs to know about it? What was it?
I opened when you open your Instagram and it shows the picture where you were a few years ago, I opened and I was at Coachella 7 years ago and I was feeling so sad in Coachella and no one knew about it because I was super happy and I got my makeup on the pictures and I was feeling completely lost. And now, as I saw the picture, I was like, I'm super happy now. So I have to share with my audience the perspective of how it is to live a sad moment, and then a few years later, you're laughing about it and you're in another place. So I think that this is the kind of content I really want to share with my audience besides selling things, because I think for a person to spend their money on something you're indicating, I don't know if this is the word, you have to get them to trust you. And trust is something it takes a village to build. So I think you can build a lot of trust with your audience with those small connecting moments, and then you offer them something to buy. So I think we are both sellers and also we have kind of a mission. I feel this, I don't know, to give them good things to open their minds in a way,
I think you also have to be ready to receive, and I think when I got on the apps, I was mentally ready to know I'm putting myself out there. And again, when you're exposing yourself so much, there's so many opinions and so many things, and that's why I think the boundaries are so important, because sometimes there's things that it's a little sensitive to share, and I think that when you have so many opinions, you have to be mentally ready to be able to open that side of yourself online.
Right. So speaking of that, Peng, prior to becoming a full-time content creator, as you alluded to earlier, you were an Olympic level athlete. Do you think that having a platform and being a public figure prior to becoming a full-time creator hurt or helped you?
It was kind of bittersweet, I would say. I think when I was an athlete, I did gymnastics my entire life, and I was definitely put in a box. And it was one of those things where it's like, oh, you're only an athlete. You can only do gymnastics. And even coming out of me trying to figure out what career I wanted to do, it was like, you probably should do something in athletics. And for me, it's like, I did that my entire life.
Like what? Were people telling you to be like a
fitness,
trainer?
And now I'm like, I don't want to work out. I've worked out my entire life. I'm like, oh man. So for me, it was like, I want to do entertainment. I want to sing. I want to act and all those things. And it was helpful, I think, because of my athletic mindset. I really went into it learning all the life skills that I've learned as an athlete from my former coaches, and it really helped me to handle different types of situations. And I think it also hurt me in a sense because it really had to challenge it didn't hurt me. I look at it as a challenge. It challenged me to push me out of my comfort zone and really force me to, how am I going to get everyone to know that I'm more than just a gymnast, that I have more interest.
That there's a life after sports.
Yeah, exactly.
And Camila, for you, you have a very big side business, which is your hair care brand. Do you think that it's a good idea for creators to start consumer companies to supplement their creator careers?
Not all of them.
Yeah, okay. Tell us about that.
I didn't want to have a brand to start with, but someone copied my website brand and made a hair care brand. So in the process of taking this out of the shelves, I was thinking, okay, so I need more routine in my life. It was a personal and business decision together. I need more routine in my life. I'm really tired of traveling. And I also need someone to long term, as I said before. So I decided to start. But then I realized it's way more complicated because I don't have investor. I'm on me, all me. And I will be.
Was that a choice or?
Choice.
Okay.
Yeah. So I decided to go alone until I could. And it's very, very difficult. I love it. But it's not everyone who has like the time to dedicate, and it's not, to sell something online nowadays, you guys must know that's very expensive for you to like get to your customer. So it's not like a magic thing. You put your product there and it sells right away. And especially in Brazil, which is a huge country, you have to ship all over. It's not, São Paulo is the size of Portugal. So to send something in Brazil is very expensive. So that's why in our strategy it's very important to have physical stores in malls. We are selling straight to the customer, both on digital and also on physical. So it's not as easy as it seems. And the creator has to be really into the business, like every day thinking ways to make it grow. If you're like doing it as a side business, I don't think it's a good choice. Like side, I'm every day at the office almost. So I think it's like marriage. You're all in or don't go, because it's a lot of work.
Yeah, that makes sense. So basically, don't do it if you're not all in. And it's funny because I feel like for the longest time, having a consumer good as a creator was like, oh, you've made it. Like, that's the creme de la creme. That's the CEO job. But it's great to hear that that's not always the case, because I do think a lot of creators are not meant for that.
I think for a brief moment, to be a CEO was the new being a blogger, Like blogger and founder and CEO. So, but you have to try to be for real, not only for the Instagram bio, It's hard, yeah.
So let's go back to the title of this panel, which is how to be platform agnostic. But inevitably, just because being alive, being on the platforms, you're gonna have a favorite platform. Do you think that creators should be allowed or encouraged to kind of spend more time on whatever their favorite platform is?
Yeah, I think. Oh, hello.
Where are you?
I don't know. I left.
Uh-oh.
I'm gone.
Camilla, why don't you start?
Okay, I think we can get a little lazy when we are super comfortable in a platform we already have success, but I think it's something we should really pay attention to go to the other platforms and check. You make a decision if you're going to be there, like dedicate your brain, dedicate your time, because it's hard to create new things, because you cannot get the same content and spread in all platforms, so I don't think you can be agnostic I know what agnostic means. You cannot be. You have to create a different thing to each platform, and that costs time and brain. So I think you have to go to the party, check, and decide whether you stay or you leave, and know why you make that decision. But I think it's good to have one focus, so you have a signature of your work. Like your signature is on TikTok, but it's not stopping you to try to go to different places and communicate in a different way. And I think it's very special that you can be a completely different creator in each platform. Like now I have a following on TikTok. It's like very dead, my TikTok. But I'm like, okay, which person do I want to be there? Do I want to do the same things I do on Instagram, or I want to create a completely new thing? So I still don't know, but I think you have to go and check before you decide.
Yeah, I think for me personally, like I think you can be whatever you want on any app and whatever you decide to do. For me, it's a fun challenge to really branch out and reach different audiences on different apps. And like Camilla said, it's like you could be a different person on each app. And I think, it depends on the person. Some people only have energy for one app, which is fantastic. And some people want that challenge of branching out on TikTok, YouTube, Instagram. For me personally, I like being on all the apps just because I like a fun challenge. Maybe that's my gymnastics side in me, but TikTok is so much fun, but at the same time, I find fun in every single app. YouTube is a fun challenge for long form content. And also too, there's, if you look at it from a business mind, there's different business opportunities in each app, and different apps come with different things. So depending on, maybe you can, my YouTube wasn't lively back then, but all of a sudden shorts happened, and then it really helped me build my audience there. So you just never know, and I think since they are amazing platforms, you might as well just give it a try if you're on it.
And I think there's one thing that's very important to say, that you don't have to be huge.
Yeah.
You don't have to be huge. You can choose not to be someplace and build a small, medium audience somewhere, and it's fine. You don't have to have millions dollars or followers, You can choose to be like,
and there's still
niche.
money in that too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, guys. That is all the time we have. I really appreciate your comments. This has been a great time.
I hope
Thank you, everyone, for having us.